You know them, you love them, you're probably scared of them. Zombies, they are everywhere. But have you ever really stopped to ask what a zombie is? Not what it stands for, but what it actually is at its core. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're launching a full-blown philosophical investigation.
I mean, let's be real, they're a total pop culture obsession. They're all over our screens, they're in our video games, in our nightmares. But if you look past all the gore and the moaning, what's left? What is the fundamental nature of a zombie? That's the big mystery we're going to try and crack today.
All right, so first things first, we've got to dig a little deeper than the surface level stuff. This isn't just about some scary monster that chases people. Nope, it's about a really deep, kind of sticky philosophical idea that just keeps clawing its way back into our culture again and again.
For decades now, we've basically used the zombie as this perfect blank mirror for whatever we're terrified of at the moment. We've seen it reflect our fears of slavery, mindless shopping mall consumerism, global pandemics, even the collapse of the environment. It is an unbelievably flexible symbol.
And that flexibility, well, that's our first big clue. The real question isn't, what does the zombie represent this week? The real question is, what is this thing fundamentally that allows it to soak up all these different meanings and still be, a zombie? What's the basic blueprint for undeath?
To get to the bottom of that, we have to play detective. We need to trace the zombie's pretty twisted family tree, and we're going to start right at the beginning.
Okay, so here's the thing. The zombie as we know it is basically the result of a massive mistranslation. The original Haitian zombie wasn't a monster at all. It was a terrifying social reality. It was a person whose will was stolen. But when that idea traveled into the Western imagination, it got flattened, twisted into a much simpler horror story. Just a dead body that moves.
So in Haitian Vodou, the zombie is a person whose soul, or their will, their T-bon ange, has been literally captured by someone else. The body's still walking around, but its ability to have intentions is just gone. It's a state of living death. And this wasn't some spooky campfire story, it was a real social fear, born from the absolute brutality of the slave economy.
And you can literally watch this idea transform over time. Back in 1864, creating a zombie was an actual crime you could be charged with in Haiti. Fast forward to 1929, and it's being sold as this exotic tropical horror story to American readers. But then 1968 happens, and George Romero completely changes the game by creating a brand new kind of zombie, one that wasn't controlled by a master, but was a plague, a contagion.
And wow, this was a massive, massive shift. With Romero's zombies, the fear was no longer about some evil sorcerer stealing your soul. The fear was that society itself, the government, the police, all our systems of control would just completely and utterly fail to stop this mindless biological threat from spreading.
Now, to really wrap our heads around that very modern fear, we're going to need some new tools. So let's open up the philosophical toolkit that's going to help us finally pin down what this creature actually is. Okay, stick with me here, because this gets a little heady, but it is so important. First, you've got this idea of biopower. It's the shift where modern governments aren't just about taking life, but about managing life, like a resource. Then, that creates bare life, people who are kept alive by the system, but who have no actual rights inside it. And finally, you get to necropolitics, which is basically the power to decide who has to live in that state of living death. Starting to sound a little familiar, right?
This all ties into something called the immunitary paradigm. Just think of a vaccine, right? You inject a tiny, controlled bit of the threat in order to protect the whole system. Well, a zombie bite is that exact logic collapsing on itself. The thing that includes you in the horde, the bite, is the very same thing that destroys you as an individual. Protection and contagion become exactly the same.
And this, right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the horror. A normal, healthy life is one that can adapt, that can create new rules and new meanings for itself. But a pathological life, a zombie's life, is just raw biological energy that has completely lost that ability. It has vitality, sure, but no way to give it meaning. It's an engine with no driver, just stuck in first gear forever.
So when you see a zombie horde, don't think of it as a community or a team. It's not. It's what a philosopher named Simondon might call a field of total unrelation. They're all next to each other, but they are not with each other. There's no communication, no connection, just this mindless drive to spread.
Okay, deep breath.
we've got the history. We have the philosophical power tools. We've gathered all the clues. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and solve this thing once and for all.
All right, part 1 of our equation, vitality. This is the simple part. It's just that raw biological engine. It's the process that keeps a body from falling apart, the thing that powers its movement. It's the hardware.
And then, part 2, reflexivity. Now, this is the special sauce. This is the software. This is the capacity for meaning, the ability to have a relationship with yourself, to have a purpose, to change, to adapt. It's the spark we call life.
And here it is, the answer we've been hunting for, the equation for undeath. A zombie is simply vitality minus reflexivity. That's it. It's the biological machine left running on empty, completely stripped of the very capacity for meaning that defines being alive.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it means the zombie is life boiled down to a purely administrative process. It's an existence that can't really end because it never truly began. It's the horror of being unable to die properly. It's life that just keeps going, long after every relationship and every ounce of meaning is gone.
But here's the kicker. The final twist in this whole investigation. This was never just about some monster out of a movie. Now it's time to turn that mirror around and face what it's really showing us.
Because the most terrifying takeaway from all of this is that the zombie isn't some other out there for us to shoot in the head. It's a mirror. And what it reflects is modern life. It's us.
And why should you care? Well, think about the principles of the zombie world. Survival is more important than relationships. Life is something to be managed instead of filled with meaning, and the idea of progress gets reduced to just getting through another day. Do any of those sound a little too familiar? The very systems that create zombies, well, they're already here.
You know, the defining emotion of the zombie apocalypse isn't terror. It's exhaustion. It's a world where the passion meter is at 0. A world of slow death, where everything just grinds on and nothing new or truly meaningful can ever happen again.
Which leaves us with one last, pretty haunting question. A question for our modern world. A world so obsessed with security, optimization, and just keeping things going. Is a life that has been engineered so that it cannot die still life at all?